So I've got the definitions, like dictionary definitions of posture, and I think actually they really, really link to a lot of the stuff we've talked about, especially in the terms of yoga sutras and yoga philosophy. So the definitions of posture is like the position in which someone holds their body when standing or sitting. So what Ian said straight away, like sitting up, slouching. Imre, you said the same. But we can also link that to the different kind of poses or positions that we might learn or want to learn in a yoga class or otherwise. Posture, the second definition is like a particular approach or attitude. So how you stand, your stance on something is your posture. And then like the way, and Imre, you said this, I think, about dishonesty, like bad posture, you linked it with dishonesty. So like the third definition of that is to behave in a way that is intended to impress or mislead. So there's like connotations there in terms of posture, and that very much links into what we might think of as our yoga ethics. So how we behave, how we relate to things and environments. We've got 4 minutes left, so I'm going to structure it for the next 3 weeks. Maybe we tick off one of those each week, but I'm going to get straight into, like, because the very first thing that came up and the thing that I hear about so much is that straight away there's a value judgment. There's good posture and there's bad posture. And there's slouching and there's sitting up straight. And we've got really set ideas about what we should be doing. And actually, as I was just Googling posture, definition came up first, and I was like, that's really handy, I'm going to use that. And then common posture mistakes and fixes was the #1 hit, and that came from our NHS website. And straight away I was like, oh God, I really don't like that. But I clicked onto it, and I think it's the way that we interpret this idea, like common posture mistakes and fixes. It's like we're doing something wrong and we need to correct it. But throughout the NHS article, which I'm not sure who it was written by, the thing that is repeated over and over again is this position over time, this position plus time. It isn't the posture itself, it's the amount of time in a particular position that makes something less good. And it might be, nitpicky to say like good or bad, but I think if we think about posture in the sense of good and bad, well, our options become very limited. And we know that physical resilience as well as mental resilience comes from having the strength and the flexibility to put our bodies in lots of different positions under lots of different amounts of loads, different speeds, fast or slow. We're not fragile, we're quite strong. And I tell this anecdote, I haven't told it for a year now because I haven't had the ears of somebody on this topic, but I went with my yoga teacher training and insurance, and to keep my professional organisation's number, I suppose, I need to take a first aid training course every couple of years. And the last training course I went on, there was one participant in particular who just had some really strange ideas about how your spine worked. And I can't remember, our trainer was saying like, oh, what do you do in this situation? Do you turn somebody? How do you position their body? And we started to watch this video and somebody's like in cardiac arrest and is being like brought back to life or whatever. And the woman was like, oh, broken spine. Oh, he just moved it like that, broken spine. And I thought, this is not how spines work. Unless you're really, really old and you haven't moved ever, like spines aren't fragile. Back pain is common, but spines aren't fragile. There's differences in what we might be able to do with them. But if we think that, if we're going to lift someone up in a weird way and we're going to break their back, I mean, obviously there's situations where we just want to leave people alone. I'm not speaking medically. But if we think that just like slouching is going to like severely damage our back, it's really going to impact how we move and what positions we put our body into. And we'll be interpreting that based on good and bad and safe and dangerous. And sometimes those categories don't align. So what we think might be good and safe might actually be just very limiting in some ways and stop us from doing particular things.